This is Seasons of Discontent with your hosts Rick Snyder and Matt Combs.
Welcome to Seasons of Discontent, Season 9, Episode 8, brought to you by Rick Snyder's Washington on YouTube. And I'm Rick Snyder.
I'm Matt.
And we're back discussing all things Washington sports and life as part of the Mighty Rick Snyder Network on social media. So please like, share, subscribe, and even hit the thanks button. All right. We always like to pick the game just first off because nobody listens to the end of the show. Washington Commanders are playing the Philadelphia Eagles. And I know everybody's going to think, oh, they'll bounce back to that. Philadelphia 30, Washington 17.
Oh, I'm going to go 35-13 Philly.
Ooh, you're worse than me. Okay.
I think they'll have a little bit of a bounce back just because it's a division game, but it's at Philadelphia. Like I talked about in the previous show, Buffalo, Philly, Kansas City, San Francisco, we're not in that tier yet. And I just think all those teams are just they're a step above, and they're just gonna it's just gonna be an easy day for Philly.
But here's the one wild card. Remember last year Philadelphia was undefeated. Washington went up there and beat them.
That was a trap game. Trap game.
But this series has always been the weird thing that I've noticed over all those years. If there's going to be a really strange win or loss, if there's going to be some strange plays that are in the season highlights, it's this game.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the Philly game. So Washington has their second most wins are against Philly. Of course, they play them twice a year, but so they do beat them in the COVID game a couple years ago. They were up 10-0 at half, and you're like, how in the hell is this possible?
Yeah, with Brian Gilbert as your quarterback or whatever the heck that guy's name was.
And I mean, they would have won, but John Allen admitted to me they gassed out, because like 20 of them had COVID, so they played hard. At halftime, they were done, or else they would have won that game. So you never know what's going to happen in this series. But I just have a feeling that Philly's just going to go straight for them. So the only way Washington wins, I think, you make a few offensive changes. You go with a lot of quick strikes because 2.5 seconds is what they consider the norm. Sam's doing more. Nah, man, you're going to have to throw to tight ends, quick slants, run the ball a lot more. You can't be looking for things downfield. Just go, I'd say, win your coin toss, go down, lead 7-0. Let's get going. I use that fullback some, to block for him at times. The defense, they've got to not spot the other team a couple touchdowns. I mean, this happened to them about 2 years ago. It took them a half season to wake up from it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're down 14-0 Philly, forget it. You turn the channel.
Mm-hmm.
It's something else. But their chances are try and get a quick strike win, lead, try and be able to dictate more, run the ball more. Don't put it on Sam trying to survive all this. That's not going to work.
Right. You talk about offensive changes. Are you ready to sit Antonio Gibson? I mean, he seems to have the fumbling issues. I understand why he fumbled. I mean, he was fighting for every extra yard. He was trying to make something happen, but this seems to be an issue that he's been having the last couple of seasons.
Well, last year he did, but the year before he did. No, I wouldn't bench him because I still think he's worth it. If you see him in space like he did the 35-yarder against Denver, right. He does things there that are really good. You just limit the touches, I think, overall. But I think he still gives them something there. The guy I'm looking for is Dotson, and I'm not blaming this on Josh Dobson, but I saw they did target him 4 times, and I was surprised it was that many. He had 2 catches. They seem to be looking at Terry all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And defenses have, he had 4 picks. Sam had 4 picks. There was 2 more that they could have got. There was a couple where you like, oh, you could hear the crowd doing, oh, because they saw the ball, they saw the defender. There was twice that Denver could have picked it off and didn't. So he's got to quit staring down these kind of things. But where's Josh? Josh is a good player for them.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't seem to be able to find a role for him somehow.
Yeah, and I expected Josh Johnson to be the X factor in this offense, to be honest with you. I figured with Terry getting double teamed and, we don't know what we have left with Curtis Samuel between injuries and where he fits as far as a weapon in this offense. I know last year they tried him in the Debo Samuel role and all that stuff, but yeah, I expected Josh to really be a factor in this offense, especially with Eric Bieniemy coming in. And I don't know, it's I don't want to say that they get so fixated on throwing to a certain receiver, like, oh, well, Terry's our number one, we have to throw to Terry this game, or, oh, well, I have this relationship with De'Ami Brown, let me try and force 6 balls to him. I don't know if Sam's getting that in his head, or, I mean, it can't be not said. He doesn't have a security blanket out there with his tight end. I mean, he had Logan Thomas for 2 games, and of course, Logan Thomas is on the shelf again after a nasty hit. I'm not saying it's his fault, but we always seem to lose Logan Thomas for a couple games over the season. And they haven't really developed Cole Turner. They haven't really given John Bates. I mean, I know he's not necessarily a pass catching tight end, but they haven't really given Bates a chance. Yeah, I would definitely activate that fullback. Have him just stand next to Sam Howell the whole game. You're not going to do anything. You just need to block. Because that Philly defensive line is special. We have the Alabama line, they've got the Georgia line, so it's going to be it could be rough. But yeah, I wouldn't sit Gibson. I just know that they obviously like Chris Rodriguez, or they wouldn't have drafted him and kept him. So I wasn't sure, where we go with Gibson.
Yeah, they don't seem to be willing to trust Chris Rodriguez very much yet. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. I mean, the dude's a banger, looking at him. But I don't know. It's kind of a strange way they're using the offense at times. And, EB is, I think he's still got some work to do. I think Andy Reid was more of that offense people want to admit. I'm not down on EB. I just think, like everybody else, he's going to have a learning curve to some of this. And he doesn't have Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift to, rely upon. One catches balls, the other catches attention. So, nobody looks at him. That's all crazy stuff. All right, so
hey, Rick, we need to find a blank space in the end zone to score a couple touchdowns.
Well, that'd be nice. I mean, there's been times Sam has had to eat the ball because they're just receivers weren't open. Mm-hmm. And why aren't they getting open? That's kind of strange. But Buffalo had a really good game plan defensively. They knew what they wanted to do. They knew what Washington was going to do. I felt Denver was like that in the first half also, and then EB switched some stuff at halftime up. So who's predictable? That's kind of one thing too. And the other thing with Brian Robinson, I love coach speak. When they go, Brian's becoming patient at the line now. All right, I hand you the ball. It's not like you stop behind the center and go, I will take this route. No, I'm going to take this one over here. You got a split second to figure something, and you don't have time. It makes it sound like you have options. You don't have options. You go where you're supposed to go, unless it's just a nightmare. And there's no such thing. But coaches talk nonsense all the time.
I think with Brian Robinson, it's a matter of confidence, and it's a matter of confidence in getting his strength back in his leg. Last year, let's not forget, this dude got shot in the leg, and I think this year he's healthy and he's got a lot more confidence. And, and that's something we talked about. Brian Robinson was running at 7 yards per clip the other day. I mean, dude had a burst. I don't know why they went away from it, but they need to rely on him a lot more. And see, that's something that they never really had to have in Kansas City. If you look back over the past couple offenses that they've had, they never really needed a running back to take most of the workload, because you had Patrick Mahomes, you had Tyreek Hill, you had Travis Kelce, you had, they turned Juju Schuster into a superstar for a season. I mean, they had these guys. They've always had, they have Clyde Edwards-Helaire and this Pacheco kid and Jerick McKinnon, but Eric needs to realize Sam Howell is not Pat Mahomes, and he needs to rely on Brian Robinson a lot more, I think.
Yeah. So switching things, since we are all things Washington, the Washington Nationals are just days away from the end of the season. Last year, they won 55 games. This year, with a few to go, they're going to be in the 70s. 15 plus win percentage better. And considering they had a lousy start, I thought it was quite a good year by them.
Yeah, this is a team that, look, all you can ask for is to get better from season to season. And that's what they've done. I mean, this was a team that was, believe it or not, sniffing some sort. They were getting into the wild card conversation there for a minute, and then they lost a bunch of games. But, all you could do is hope that these young kids look. I mean, they got rid of Soto for a boatload of young guys. They sold every good player off for prospects, and you just have to hope that these prospects turn out to be something, and then you supplement your roster with veterans, and maybe you make another run at this thing. I mean, we talked offline. I guess the learners are keeping the team. They're not getting the price tag that they want, so they're going to hang on to the Nats as long as they can. And I don't know if that's going to be a anchor around our ankles as far as this team winning or getting stars to come here. But because look, guys like Scherzer and them that took the deferred payments, those guys aren't going to be around much longer. You know what I mean? I mean, when you got Bryce Harper getting $350 million, and God, how much is Ohtani going to get this offseason? I mean, guys like that aren't going to come here and only get half their money.
I wonder if Soto would want to come here, because since he left here, it hadn't exactly gone as well as he would have liked.
No, he's going to the highest bidder. That's been Juan's MO is, I'm going to the highest bidder. He won his World Series, and see, that's the advantage that he has of winning a World Series early. He's got a World Series ring. He don't need to worry about that for his legacy. He's going to the highest bidder. He's going to get paid.
Yeah, it won't be here then. But this is where his good times were, and none of that great in the other place. And Tony Two Bags, well, good thing they got to let him go, because Rendon's barely played like a fourth of the games in 3-4 years. He's been hurt so much and been hitting awful. That's a bust contract for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, realistically for the Nationals, once this Corbin contract is up in 2 more years, I think. But Corbin even showed bounce back this year. I know he had a crappy game the other night, but he has been somewhat decent for this team this year. I mean, that's a guy that completely gave every last gas that he had to win that World Series, along with Strasburg and Scherzer. So, and look, I mean, it's taken an effect on all three of those guys. Scherzer has not been very good he was not good for the Mets, and then they traded him, and I think he got shut down into the playoffs with the Rangers. Corbin has had an up and down year, and Strasburg probably will never pitch again. So, they did everything they had to do to win that World Series, and it included sacrificing all their arms.
I saw the Caps lost the game. Is this preseason?
Yes, preseason started.
Okay. I didn't think the season had started.
No. Regular season's not until October.
I got a release today from the Wizards talking about their assistant coaches. They have 14 coaches. How many players they have? It's about that many too.
I know. Every player gets a coach.
I guess I was sitting there going, "Are you kidding? It used to be 2."
Yeah.
And the assistant. Now they got one for everybody. Big man, inside big man. Well, go win some games. That would be nice.
That would be nice.
They have one coach for every win or something. It's crazy on them. All right. Well, there's lots. The sports season in Maryland. Just shout out to Maryland. They're 4-0. Going against Ohio State this weekend. Well, they're going to find out what the Commanders did. But who knows? Once you can beat them every 10 years, maybe this is the year. Hey,
look, we're only 2 away from being bowl eligible. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, you just want to be a joke. Maryland's not about football; it's about basketball.
Let me ask you this real quick before we get out of here, because we only got a couple minutes. The job that Loxley has done with Maryland, if they were still in the ACC, do you think they would be better? They would be better positioned.
A little. They wouldn't be, Clemson, Florida State, but they could be third.
Yeah, but even look, Clemson's down this year. I mean, Florida State's a powerhouse, but
other than that, they probably have a little bit better of a record. But the Big Ten, if you can beat the I teams, the Indiana, the Iowa, Illinois, beat those teams, and if you can go 500 in the Big Ten, they can go 500 in the Big Ten. Can they ever win it? Oh, it's going to have to be a rare year like Northwestern's year or something. Yeah. But, if you go 8-4 and you're going to a bowl, in college football, they're never going to compete for a national championship, but they wouldn't have been in the ACC either. And
True.
the ACC is so screwed up now with teams on the West Coast too. I mean, college football is just, I think it's just clear and free agent. Everybody just play your own schedule, and we'll pick a few at the end. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. All right. That's all.
All right. We're out of here. I'm Rick Snyder.
I'm Matt.
Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Seasons of Discontent with your hosts, Rick Snyder and Matt Combs.